Hi everyone, today I'm going to be going over how to solve equations using addition and subtraction. This is part 2, so this is more challenge problems, mainly focusing on what happens when I have a negative variable. So this is, for example, when I'm solving a problem of 3 plus x equals 7, okay? When I subtract 3 from both sides, I get positive x equals 4. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the answer to the positive x. So I know when I substitute back in, I can do 3 plus 4 equals 7. Okay? So that's what I'd like to know. What is the positive x? So I'm going to show you what happens when my answer is negative. Okay? In this case, it wouldn't be, but I'm just showing what happens if it is negative. So let's look at a couple practice problems. So if I have 14 minus z equals 20, I would solve this almost the same way as I would solve the previous problems. So I want to isolate the variable. So I ask myself, what is on the side with z that I don't want? And the first answer to that is 14. Because this doesn't have a sign in front of it, we're going to call it a positive 14. So what's the opposite of positive 14? It's negative 14. That's why I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. I cancel out the 14. I bring down everything I didn't touch, including the negative sign, and I solve 20 minus 14. So now I get negative z equals 6. Well, the problem is I don't want to know what negative z is. I want to know what positive z is. So to do this, I have to think of what number can I multiply negative z by to not only let me keep z, but make it a positive. And if you remember, the only number I can multiply by another number to get the same number, so say for instance 2 times what is 2 is 1. But I also have to change the sign, so I have to go by a negative 1. So if I multiply the left side by negative 1, I know a negative times a negative is a positive, so I'm left with positive z. And because I multiplied the left side by negative 1, I also need to multiply the right side by negative 1. So I'm left with z equals negative 6. So if I put in 14 minus negative 6 equals 20, this double negative makes a positive, so I'm left with 14 plus 6 equals 20, which is true. Let's look at another problem. So in this problem, almost looks identical to the first problem. I'd like you to try this on your own. So pause the video right now, try this on your own, and then I'll show you how to do it. Okay, hopefully you paused it and got an answer, so I'll show you how to do this. Since this is a positive 22, I'm going to subtract 22 from both sides, cancel this out, bring down my negative sign, and I'm left with 17 minus 22. So if I use the number line and do 17 minus 22, I'm going to be negative, so I'll be at a negative 5. So my answer right now is negative n equals negative 5. Because I can't have a negative number, I'm going to multiply this by a negative 1. Because I also need to multiply the other side by a negative 1, okay, I'm going to be left with n equals 5. And 22 minus 5 is 17. Let's look at a couple more examples. Why don't you, I'll do the first one together, and the second one you can try on your own. So this one I have a positive 13. I want to get x by itself. So I'm going to subtract 13 from both sides. I'm left with negative x equals negative 20. Because I want to know positive x, I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 1, and I get x equals 20. And negative 20 plus 13 is going to be a negative 17. I just realized I did bad math here. So this is going to be 30. Sorry about that. So when I plugged it back in, I realized that didn't work. So if that ever happens to you, plug it back in, and I'm going to be getting a negative 30. Okay? So negative 30 plus 13, negative 30 plus 13 is going to be negative 17. Okay, so why don't you try the next one on your own. Pause the video now and try it on your own, and then I'll show you how to do the right answer. Hopefully you we've got our answer. So I'm going to get x by itself. I see that on this side I have a negative 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And 26 is equal to negative x. Because I can't have a negative number, I'm going to multiply it by a negative 1. And I'm going to be left with negative 26 equals x. Alright, the last one you may want to try on your own. It's similar to the first two problems that we just did. Try it on your own, see if you can do it, and then unpause the video and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, hopefully you've solved this problem. So I'm going to subtract 40 from both sides. I'm at 38 and I'm going to minus more than I have, so I'll be at negative 2. Negative 2 equals negative x. Multiply both sides by negative 1. Get rid of the negative sign, and 2 equals x. Hopefully this clears up any problems you may have had with this, and be sure to ask questions in class if needed. Have a great night.